While the Chinese government is vigorously promoting new energy vehicles or EVs, people are speaking out with different feedback and opinions. Articles like this one are starting to appear on the Chinese web. New energy vehicle spontaneous combustion, time for regret, but no time for escape. Here are some shocking scenes of EVs.
Whose car is it? Get the fire extinguisher. Get the fire extinguisher. This fire is scary. What's going on?
What the Chinese government calls new energy vehicles in fact consist of all electric vehicles, extended range electric vehicles, and hybrid vehicles. An EV battery pack is made of several thousand small lithium-ion cells wrapped in a strong material and bolted to the vehicle's chassis. When an EV battery is defective, damaged, or malfunctions, the lithium-ion cell may short-circuit and heat up the battery, melting the tiny membrane separating the negative and positive electrodes and exposing it to a highly flammable liquid electrolyte. Once on fire, a phenomenon known as thermal runaway is triggered, and the flames will burn throughout the battery, fueling a blaze that can last for hours. Fire experts said that even if an EV fire is extinguished, it may burn again. Since it isn't easy to extinguish the fire, the best way is to let the EV burn to a stop by itself. Many victims have described online that EVs start to catch fire just seconds after a collision, and within 10 seconds or so, the fire would spread to the entire vehicle, with little to no chance of escape for the people inside. The spontaneous combustion of EVs happens virtually without warning and comes in various ways. Some of them are caused by the chassis hitting a rock or ridge, some of them spontaneously ignite when being charged, and some just happen with no signs or warnings at all. Look at this car. According to the owner, it was purchased more than a year ago and sent to a 4S store for repair just before the new year. At 9 o'clock in the morning when he was driving it, he smelled a burning smell of rubber inside the car. He immediately stopped and parked the car on the side of the road. Right after, unexpectedly, the car burst into flames. There were also EVs that even spontaneously combusted while parked at a car show hall. At the end of 2022, the day before the opening of the Guangzhou Auto Show, a fire broke out at a booth of a Chinese company called AIAT. 2 days later, it finally issued a statement saying that the problem was due to mishandling by the logistics staff. An analysis was written saying that a gas car usually catches fire as a result of a very violent collision. It doesn't happen like an EV, which can occur anywhere at any time. In addition, when a gas car catches fire, it tends to spread slowly, which may at least leave time for the passengers to escape. The same article also made a claim that the spontaneous combustion rate of EVs was lower than that of gas vehicles. This isn't true. The spontaneous combustion rate of fuel vehicles is generally 1 or 2 out of 10,000. The real spontaneous combustion rate of EVs in 2022 was about 2 or 3 out of 10,000, which is significantly higher than that of gas vehicles. From the number of videos circulating online, the rate of EV fires in China is much higher than that of fuel vehicles. So why is the claim circulating on various media platforms on the Chinese web? It's obviously related to the current promotion of EVs by the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP. We will strive to optimize the industrial development layout and promote the optimization and restructuring of NEV enterprises, making them stronger and better. We will vigorously promote the withdrawal of outdated enterprises and backward production capacity and cultivate world-leading NEV enterprises. In 2009, China proposed to promote the use of energy-saving new energy vehicles. In order to encourage the development of EVs and fully support the industry, it began to provide high subsidies for the industry. Governments at all levels not only directly subsidized EV manufacturers, but also reduced or waived the purchase tax for businesses and people who bought EVs. For major cities where purchases and drivers of automobiles are regulated, EVs have become the exception. Under the government's push, China's EV industry experienced a boom. EV manufacturing developed rapidly, and a frenzy for EV manufacturing occurred like the Great Leap campaign that happened in the CCP history. According to the March 2019 statistics of China's National Regulatory Platform for New Energy Vehicles, as of March 11, 2019, there were 450 automobile companies that passed the platform compliance test and 5,827 vehicle models that passed the vehicle compliance test. Especially in times of weak economic growth, the CCP has pushed the grassroots society to spend money to save the economy. On June 16, 2023, 5 government departments in 3 cities jointly launched a 2023 New Energy Vehicles campaign in rural areas of Jiangsu, Hainan, and Hebei provinces. Nearly 70 models of EV are offered as the first batch in more than a dozen towns and counties in China. Each region will promote the consumption of EVs in rural areas through subsidies, shopping coupons, recharging discounts, and other means. The campaign calls for the organization of the Auto Festival of hundreds of cities and the new energy vehicle season of thousands of counties and 10,000 towns from June to December to promote EV consumption. The 1,000 Counties and 10,000 Towns campaign calls for promotional activities in more than 1,000 counties and 10,000 towns in China, while the Hundreds of Cities campaign calls for local governments and financial institutions to take action to support the purchase of EVs. However, many of those who have purchased EVs are really regretting it. In addition to the problem of catching fire, China's EVs have a few major flaws. Each stabs the consumer in the heart. Flaw number 1. Mileage. The mileage standards for EVs in China are different from those in Europe and the US. As confirmed by the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, China uses what's called NEDC, a standard that came out in the 1980s but was eliminated by developed countries a while ago. Europe uses the WLTP standard and the US uses the EPA standard. Nowadays, how far an EV made in China can run is not tested by taking a car to a real city road, but by testing in a laboratory. In comparison to Europe and the US, China's EVs have a shorter testing time, limited distance, slow speed, and fewer variables are taken into consideration when testing. For example, there is no consideration of temperature changes in different environments, urban congestion, changes in road conditions, driving habits, air conditioning use, the activeness of lithium batteries at different temperatures, and other energy consumption scenarios. In other words, the lab test is a far cry from reality. Europe started using the WLTP standard in September 2017 to determine the electric mileage standard. It collects data from all kinds of driving conditions around the world, taking into account all of the factors mentioned earlier, and creates a rigorous and extensive working condition with a longer driving time that is much more complex than the NEDC standard. The US uses the EPA standard with faster speed changes and longer test times. That is to say, an EV that runs 300 kilometers using the US standard can be calibrated to 450 kilometers in China. Bluntly speaking, the Chinese government works with Chinese automakers to cheat customers. For example, if the official range is rated at 160 kilometers, in reality, the average range can only reach 120 to 140 kilometers, and the longer the driving time, the lower the range tends to be, to the point where it can only reach 100 or 80-odd kilometers in the end. We aired an episode before in which a car rental business owner in Shenzhen described the range trap that he encountered with BYD EVs. He said that around 2016, his company purchased more than 1,700 BYD EVs, of which 1,333 BYD Tengshi 300 EVs were used for rental operations. After he launched his rental platform, he received complaints about the poor range of the Tengshi EVs. After about a year or so, the vehicles started to be returned to the platform. Flaw number 2. The battery warranty is a sham. Although multiple all-electric vehicle manufacturers in China offer free battery warranty services, the warranty isn't consistent. The 8-year or 160,000 kilometer warranty is mainly for the maintenance of the battery cell, not a direct battery replacement. To replace a battery, it costs about 70,000 to 90,000 yuan, or between 8 and 13,000 US dollars, which is equivalent to 2/5 of the price of a new EV. Many first-time EV buyers don't expect to spend so much money to replace a battery in the future. Flaw number 3, inadequate charging stations. Daily charging for EVs in China is mainly done by installing charging ports at home and using public charging stations. When parking spaces in many neighborhoods are far from the main power source due to safety concerns, the property management doesn't allow the installation of charging ports. The number of public charging stations is limited, and it's usually 5 or 6 kilometers away. Many charging stations also lack maintenance, causing frequent failures. In highway service areas with large traffic volumes, the number of charging stations is small, and during holidays it's rather common to see drivers line up to charge their vehicles, and there are barely any charging stations in rural areas. Here is a rest stop on a highway. Many EVs are waiting in line to be charged. The wait time is expected to be at least 4 hours. Moreover, EV charging stations can be rather dangerous at times. Look, another fire. This time it happened right beside the charging station.
Oh my gosh, the car is on fire while it's charging. It's not safe. Don't buy an EV. There have been several explosions here. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, look at it. It's going to explode. The quality of the EV is like garbage. This place has already had several explosions already.
But you'll see a different picture from the Chinese officials. In terms of network coverage, efforts will be made so that in large and medium-sized cities, parking spaces with charging facilities at commercial parking lots should take a bigger share than registered EVs, and the coverage of charging services in rural areas should go up steadily. In terms of functional services, the charging infrastructure will feature mutual complementary functioning, fast and slow charging facilities, and will be smart and open to the public, with the charging services being safe, reliable, economical, and convenient. The standards and a market regulation system will be largely complete, with basically modernized industry regulation and governance capacities, and the technologies, equipment, and relevant sci-tech innovations up to the world's advanced level. Flaw number 4, low value retention rates. According to an account on the Chinese web, a 4-year-old BAIC EV160 with a mileage of nearly 30,000 kilometers was sold for 19,000 yuan, or about US $2,600. The official price of a new EV of the same model is US 24,000, and one pays US 14,000 for it after various subsidies and discounts. After doing the math, the value retention rate of EVs is less than 30%. Flaw number 5, it doesn't save money over the long run. The most expensive part of an electric vehicle is the battery, plus the motor and the electronic control system, which take up nearly 80% of the cost of the whole vehicle. With more technology elements, the premium is also high. For example, the BYD Chin Pro is priced at around US 23,000, while a traditional fuel car with similar features is priced at around US 13,000. In other words, an EV is nearly US $10,000 more expensive than its gas counterpart. The above pains are not just for the countless individual car owners, but now municipal public service systems are also tasting the bitter fruits. Let's look at the results of China's rapid electrification of its public transit system. On July 9, 2023, in Baoding, a city of 10 million people in northern China, all its public transportation was suspended. Officials said that they really couldn't afford the all-electric buses, and that the power batteries in the first batch of electric buses had exceeded the warranty period, making them unsafe to operate and had to be retired. It has severely reduced the public transportation capacity. Yes, even the quality of public transit buses is concerning. Bus Rapid Transit Line 2, Ouch, it's a high-tech electric bus. My goodness, how many lives have been lost? It's said to be a battery explosion. This was in May 2023 when an electric bus caught fire in a city in eastern China. According to the Securities Times, on February 23, 2023, Shangchu Public Transportation Company in Henan Province also issued a notice that it intended to suspend the operation of bus routes in the urban area of Shangchu from March 1, 2023, due to unusual operational difficulties. At the end of 2022, Shangchu City invested more than 600 million yuan, or $84 million to purchase all-electric buses. And 2 months later, the city's public transportation company almost ceased operations due to financial strain. It's simply incomprehensible how a city with the boldness to come up with US $84 million for new energy buses can't afford to keep the buses in regular operation. In the future, there should be more city announcements of bus shutdowns. So why does such a phenomenon take place? Let's still take Baoding as an example. In an article published on the official website of Baoding Public Transportation Company in 2015, there was this passage: replacement of gas buses that we have been using for 3 years at an original price of only a few dozens of thousands of RMB with all-electric buses that cost 100,000 or so RMB. And who wouldn't say that it's a wonderful dream? The article says, the state subsidizes a part, the province subsidizes a part, and the rest is offset by the gas buses we are now using. The idea of vehicle replacement buying of 591 all-electric buses will realize the great leap of upgrading Baoding public transport from gas to electricity. The article concluded, no bus company dares to be the first, and once again we will realize the feat of using the all-electric buses for urban public transportation. That's right, this process didn't cost much because it was all done with state and provincial subsidies, as well as the swap of old gas buses, which have also been driven for 6.5 years. In 2015, it was the peak season of the Chinese government's subsidies for new energy vehicles. By 2022, China's Ministry of Finance issued a document stating that urban public transportation belongs to local jurisdiction, and it's only appropriate for local authorities to bear the relevant expenditure. And the goal to subsidize the operation of new energy buses has been achieved. This means that the era of subsidizing the operation of new energy buses at the national level has come to an end. Now the Baoding City Bus Company has explained the reason for stopping the operation, saying that because the power batteries of the first batch of all electric vehicles have expired warranty, there exists a safety hazard. If the batteries were to be replaced, it would cost nearly 100,000 yuan or $14,000 per vehicle. Baoding has accumulated about 900 electric buses since 2015, and at least 700 of them require battery replacements, which means a large amount of money. The bus company also said that due to the continuous decline in passenger traffic, passenger revenue has fallen off a cliff. Yet, the cost remains high and the operating capital has been disrupted several times. Right now, they are getting revenue via financing or defaulting on payments, and there is not much left from the money raised. How can the city's public transportation system continue to operate after Baoding's multiple bus lines are suspended? Chinese media reported on July 14th that it learned from the provincial capital city of Shijiazhuang Bus Company that it had mobilized buses to support Baoding. On July 12th, China's top media CCTV reported that a staff member of Baoding City Bus Company said that the total number of buses in the city has been reduced from more than 1,300 during the peak period to 333 now. It's less than 1/4 of the capacity at the peak. As a result, the city is forced to reduce the number of routes. With the news of the Baoding City bus shutdown, many people are turning their attention to the battery life of electric buses, questioning whether they are too short-lived. Some analysts have looked into the aftermath of bus shutdowns around China. Usually, the service life of new energy vehicle batteries is about 5 to 8 years. In the future, all of China will see the phenomena of public transport shutdown. Although the new energy vehicles have a clean environmental protection label, the power battery contains cobalt, nickel, and other heavy metals. They aren't biodegradable, and there are a few hundred kilograms of batteries in each vehicle. If decommissioned batteries cannot be recycled in an effective and environmentally friendly manner, it will, on the contrary, bring about more disastrous pollution to the environment.